You can see, no? So one thing you have to know that plants, they do not have any circulatory system. Plants don't have any heart to pump the blood or any fluid in the plant. They don't have any interstitial fluid. That is fluid in between the tissues. They don't have for transport. But they need to move various substances like water, mineral, organic growth regulators over long distance. More than human being. Transport is too long in plants than compared to human beings or animals. Animals maximum it will be 6 meters or 3 meters, 4 meters. But in plants it can be 10, 12 meters long. Okay, the trees are huge. So it is long transport. Next, there is direction of transport. UD directional transport means transport of water and minerals. This xylem which takes water, no, you can see the blue arrow, it is only in one direction. Xylem. From roots to stem and leaves. From roots it will start, then it will go to the stem, and then it will go to the leaves. And excess water is given out by transpiration. Multidirectional transport, that is transport of photosynthesis. All the photosynthetic food what is produced will be transported in many directions, both the directions. It can come up or it can go down. But water, it is always taken up only because it is like a pipe. It is should be continued. If any break is there, the plant will die. If this water goes this side, and if you cut this part, this plant will not get water, this part. Okay? That continuity should be there. They cannot change direction. Sometimes plants, hormones, and other chemical stimuli are transported in polarized or unidirectional manner from where they are synthesized. Some plant hormones are also transported from one origin to the target organ. Okay. Okay. These are the means of transport. We have diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and active transport. Okay. So let's see first diffusion. So diffusion is the slow movement of gases, liquid and solutes from higher concentration to lower concentration. It may be from one part of the cell to the other part of the cell, or from cell to cell over a short distance. It does not depend on living system. There is no need of life for diffusion to occur. Okay? It is the only means of gaseous movement in plants. So here you can see higher concentration, and this side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 molecules, lower concentration. So molecules will diffuse from higher concentration to lower concentration. Got? So write this definition. Next is factors affecting diffusion. Okay. Concentration gradient. First is concentration gradient. Concentration gradient means difference in concentration on the two sides. Now this is highly concentrated. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 molecules. Whereas here there are only 5 molecules. So more the concentration gradient, more will be diffusion. So concentration gradient means difference in concentration on the two sides of the membrane. Permeability of the membrane. If this membrane is permeable, then it will be easily diffused. If this membrane does not give this molecule to move this side, diffusion will not take place. Temperature and pressure. We know as the temperature will increase, the kinetic energy of the molecule will increase, and this molecule will move faster. Okay. Then size. If these molecules are big, they cannot move on the other side. If these molecules are very small, they can easily move on this side. Solubility in lipids. This plasma membrane is made up of lipids. Lipid is nothing but oil. Lipid is oil. So if these molecules are soluble in oil, they can easily come on this side. If they are not soluble in oil, if this oil is not taking them, if this oil which is there is not taking them, then this molecule will not be able to pass. So, substance soluble in lipids diffuse through membrane faster. Okay, so write these factors affecting all points. Next is facilitated diffusion. What is facilitated diffusion? What do you mean by facilitated?
Something helps it.
Yeah, something will help. Okay, some help will be given for this diffusion. So it is diffusion of hydrophilic substance. Hydrophilic substance means water-loving substance. Just now we said that hydrophobic means lipid-loving. These substances do not love lipid or cannot dissolve in lipids. So for them, they have some help of membrane protein channel. These channels you can see, these are membrane protein channel. Okay, and without expenditure of ATP, energy, it also needs concentration gradient. This concentration gradient is also required. Only these protein channels are there, which helps in diffusion. That's why it is called as facilitated diffusion. It is very specific. Now, these channels are very specific. They will not allow anyone to go in or come out. Okay, these channels, they will not allow anyone to go or come out. They are specific. Cells select substance for uptake. It is sensitive to inhibitors that react with protein side chain. So it is sensitive to inhibitor. Okay. Transport rate reaches maximum when all the protein transporters are being used. When all transporters are being used, then the transport rate is maximum. Okay, so write first point.
Only first point.
Only first point. Next is facilitated diffusion. Some protein channels are always open, others can be controlled. Some are large size, example, porins. Okay. Porins have huge pores with the outer membrane of plastids, mitochondria, and in some bacteria. They are found in mitochondria, plastids. What are plastids? Chloroplast, leucoplast, chromoplast. Molecules having size smaller than this can pass through them. Only molecules with smaller size can pass through them. An extracellular molecule binds to the transport protein. Then it rotates and releases the molecule inside the cell. Example, water channels are called as aquaporins. Okay. What happens? They will bind here and they will turn itself. Now this water molecule which is here bound, this entire blue thing will, if it is standing like this, it will turn the other side. It will rotate. It will rotate, the water molecule will turn inside. This is how it transports. So write the first point and the last point. Last point. Okay. Then three types of facilitated diffusions are there. Passive unipode, passive synpode, and passive antipode. Unipode means only one molecule is moving from through a carrier protein. Antipode is one molecule moving this side, the other molecule moves in opposite direction. Sympode, two molecules together in the same direction. So write these three definitions. Then active transport. Active means it is the transport of molecules against concentration gradient. Means from lower concentration to higher concentration. And for this to take place, that is to bring from lower to higher concentration, we require expenditure of ATP. It is carried out by membrane proteins. These are membrane proteins. Just like facilitated diffusion, this is also carried out by membrane protein. Pumps are protein that use energy transport substance across cell membrane. There is something called as pump. Okay, potassium pump or some other pump is there, which helps in transport of the molecules. Transport rate reaches maximum when all protein transporters are being used. There are protein transporters. If all the transporters are used, then transport rate is maximum. The carrier protein is very specific. These are sensitive to inhibitors with protein chains. Okay. So write just the definition of active transport. Last, there is comparison. Simple diffusion, there is no required of membrane protein, no highly selective, no transport saturates, no uphill transport, no energy. Uphill means against the concentration gradient. Whereas facilitated proteins are required, highly selective, transport saturate, no uphill, and no require ATP. Whereas active proteins are required, highly selective it is, transport saturates is there, uphill transport that is against the concentration gradient from down to up. That's why it is called as uphill and requires ATP. Okay. We'll stop here.